what an incredible week it was in college football. And it's very interesting as we sit here on the precipice of the college football playoff championship game. And yet still, we talk about Michigan sign stealing. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you go check out our short segments. I did one today on the whole sign stealer situation. And I have to tell you, I understand why so many people want to talk about it. I get it. The sign stealing, cheating situation, I understand why that's a narrative and a storyline with the University of Michigan football team. But the thing that I don't understand is what impact did that have on the Alabama game? Because straight up, Michigan football played a significantly better game than Alabama did. Michigan players outplayed Alabama players. J.J. McCarthy had a far better game, in my opinion, than Jalen Milroe did. Alabama couldn't snap the football. Jalen Milroe fumbled the football. I thought it was shocking how out of position Alabama football players were. Jake, if there was ever a time to give accolades to Michigan football, I think the Alabama win was absolutely that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said before we went on break for 2 weeks that if Michigan beats Alabama, then I'll give them credit, and I give them credit. And they won the game, and you played well, and you did what you had to do, and they deserve credit for that. I am definitely in the camp that says I really don't care all that much that, Connor Stalions was in the stands and like everyone's trying to make this out like, something was going on there. And this had nothing to do with Connor Stalions. And I think what was so surprising to me is this game kind of rolled out in the first quarter was that Michigan was making mistakes. I mean, special teams for Michigan was a big problem in the first quarter, and Alabama had opportunities and simply didn't take advantage of those opportunities. So the idea that Alabama fan wants to sit here and say that, oh man, we lost in overtime and I'm glad our center's in the transfer portal and yada, 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 yada. The reality of the situation is the center is not the sole reason why you lost that game. Now, is that a big part? Did that certainly hurt you? Absolutely. I mean, not being able to snap the football repeatedly is totally unacceptable in the college football playoff semifinal. I mean, that's just not going to get the job done. And yeah, it is a little surprising out of a Nick Saban coach team. But what I will say, and what I was thinking throughout this game, watching it go down, was this is what happens when you don't have a bunch of 5-star caliber athletes working for you. When you don't have these guys, just gifted athletes like Nick Saban has had before. You don't have the Julio Jones running routes for you. You don't have, those grade A #1 guys. You don't have Bryce Young back there anymore. You don't. And I like where Jalen's game is at, but the fact is he is not a pure enough pocket passer to defeat a dominant Michigan football defensive line, because that's where this game was decided. I mean, the push that Michigan's getting in the trenches this whole game is absolute domination.
4 sacks in the first 12 minutes,
I mean,
6
you never
total.
had a chance.
Yeah. I think that Michigan's a very good football team, and that's the hard part about this discussion about Michigan football being the most hated team in America, because I don't know that it's even arguable. They're one of the best football programs in the country. They're right. I mean, that defensive line, I think the way the secondary played under pressure, I thought it was a great performance by the players on the field. But whatever this nonsense is that J.J. McCarthy is running out today, that he finds it unfortunate that the sign stealing scandal, could take the focus off all of their hard work and, talking about media narratives. Those aren't media narratives. And I think this is critically important that the J.J. McCarthy, for those who didn't see it, the starting quarterback at Michigan, affectionately or otherwise known as Free Harbaugh on this show.
Right.
Free Harbaugh in his conference call today said that 80% of college football teams are stealing signs. Look, Free Harbaugh, here's the thing that you're trying to spin. Not all of them have a budget and an operation that sends people out to other stadiums to steal signs. You can't get away from that. And I am certainly not here to argue that Michigan's innocent. They're not. My issue isn't with Free Harbaugh or the rest of that roster. My issue is with Jim Harbaugh, who I think is an absolute scumbag and should never coach another high school prospect into a college football player. I feel that strongly about it. I would never hire Jim Harbaugh to be my head coach, ever. But the bottom line is his football players outplayed Nick Saban's football players. They wholeheartedly deserve to be in the college football playoff final. Now, should we argue about whether the merits of them being in the playoff at all? Sure. You want to have that argument? Go howl at the moon. I get it. We've done that. They're in the playoff. They're a better football team than Alabama. Are they a better football team than Washington? Not in my opinion, because I think the one reason that Michigan was able to win that game is Alabama wasn't able to execute on offense. That's not going to be a problem for Michael Penix Jr., who I think is the best player in the country right now. But the bottom line is Michigan football belongs in the college football playoff final. There's no doubt about that. And if they win it, I truly hope we don't do this whole BS thing where we vacate the win and we take back the trophy. They won the game. They won the game. Take the trophy back. Great. Reggie Bush is still a Heisman Trophy winner. It's hollow. If you wanted to punish Michigan, you should have kept him out. You let him in. Now you got to let him have the trophy if they win it, in my opinion. I don't believe in this, and I don't know where you come down on this, but I don't believe in this whole, let's go back and retroactively take away the wins and hand it to Michael Penix in Washington.
There's no unwinding the watch, dude. I mean, I think that, I mean, I agree with your take that Penix is not going to have near the trouble that Jalen Milroe had against this defense. But I also think that, Alabama, it needs to be said, Alabama had a hell of a year. I mean, from where you were to where you got to, the idea that this team got all the way to the semifinal and you lose to a really physical Michigan team, like that's a hell of a year, man. And I know that for Nick Saban and Alabama, like it's championship or bust, and that's fine. That's fine. But if we're going to sit here and praise Michigan and give them the credit that they deserve after winning that ball game, I think you got to give Alabama some credit too. And I think, now that we're in a place where we're having the conference realignment stuff is starting to creep in. Now that we've got just the championship game left, we can kind of start to see, okay, this is what the newer rosters are going to look like, or frankly, not look like in many teams' cases. Like, I think we're starting to see the change in college football take place. So I'm not really interested in doing, unwinding the watch stuff or like going back in the past. Like, I'm interested in, hey, Michael Penix Jr. is one of the most underrated players, in my opinion. And that's only because he plays in the Pac-12 and was not on TV enough. This is somebody who can outthrow anybody's defense. And all Washington's got to do from a coordinator perspective is put together a game plan that allows you to get the ball out relatively quickly because you know what that defensive line can do. And if you do that, you should be relatively successful. But if I just don't understand why we got to sit here and be like, oh, well, if Michigan wins or this or that, like, let's stop doing hypotheticals. You won the game. You deserve the credit. You're in the championship game. I will say, I do think that it is a travesty that they got in. I do agree with the people that say the NCAA,
why?
Why? Because
why open the door for it?
Because this is not hypothetical. This is my take on it. I don't think they should have been in. I think the NCAA is notorious for dragging their feet. The idea that you have a governing body that's going to wait 6 months to punish someone is ridiculous. You're not a governing body then. You're a discipline distributor when it's convenient for you.
Well, I think there's some important details here too. I mean, the NCAA 2 weeks ago delivered notice of level 1 violations against Jim Harbaugh. That we already knew about, and to all the Michigan haters who love this show, and there are many apparently, it's what we've been telling you for 3 months, and that is that Jim Harbaugh, and this is what you can't get away from, and I think it is so foolish in my opinion that we're going to have this conversation, and then later down the road we're going to vacate wins. Okay, you do you. I want to make it very clear. If Michigan wins that game, they are now and forever the champions of the 2023 football season.
Yes.
End of story. Jim Harbaugh should not be coaching that team. Sharon Moore, whoever you want to, okay, great. Jim Harbaugh is a disgrace to the coaching profession. Jim Harbaugh is an embarrassment as a professional to the University of Michigan, in my opinion. And he is that because he is self-admitted through his suspension. Not 3 games, now 6 games. 6 games. He took 3 in the beginning of the season, admitting to COVID period recruiting violations and dishonesty and deception with the Committee on Infractions. He took a 3-game writ, self-imposed, because the Committee on Infractions said, well, 4 games, 5 games, that's not enough. So now what happened 2 weeks ago? They got noticed, level 1 violations. This is we can sit here, Michigan fan, and you can smoke whatever's in that pipe to put yourself in some altered state to make you believe that everything in Michigan's just fine. It's not just fine. Jim Harbaugh is going to miss next year. Oh, no, he won't. That's because he'll be employed by an NFL team next year. And hey, you want to do that? And I think the team that should be playing in San Diego but rent space at the Rams house, hey, if you're the Chargers, you should absolutely hire Jim Harbaugh. He is he is a really good quarterback coach for 2 years, and then he pisses everybody off and resigns or gets fired. That's who the guy is. Know that when you hire him, but Justin Herbert will be a better quarterback for that. But let's not sit here and spin the fact that Jim Harbaugh is a cheater, in my opinion. I think the facts are in place. They are not in question because, again, if Jim Harbaugh wasn't a cheater, why did Michigan make a court filing and never once deny that his program cheated? Never once, not one time has Michigan, the University of, or the athletic department or the football department denied the sign stealing situation. So there are conversations to be had about Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan football program. If they beat Washington next Monday night in Houston, they're the champions of football now and forever of 2023. You're not going to take it away from them, nor should you.
Sorry, we're offended by that.
I'm all for honest and open conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan was a better football team than Alabama.
I just think that I agree with that. And I think that the bigger conversation has to, at some point, be maybe we need to change the way we handle issues in college football when it comes to discipline. Like, I'm not talking about, the portal or NIL or this new age stuff. I'm just simply talking about like age-old violations. Because that's the thing with Jim. These are not like rocket science violations. These are very black and white. You did it or you didn't do it. And he said he did through suspending him. Like, dude, we know what happened here.
It's the best example I've ever heard was from the guy that you cannot stand continues to breathe on the face of this earth. And that'd be Paul Feinbaum, who said, it's just like Johnny Cash. I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. Nobody's questioning you shot the man, Jim.
Why we have Feinbaum.
Nobody is questioning that Jim Harbaugh cheated through a sign stealing scandal.
I'm for real.
Nobody's questioning he had recruits and burgers during the COVID dark period, overworked his coaches, had coaches watching workouts on Zoom, and then deceived the Committee on Infractions about that. Nobody's denying that.
It's actually not that easy, but for me, it was easy.
But the other part of this that I think is so delicious is Michigan fan. Because the thing I don't understand is they win the game the other night. And Michigan fans are like, this proves that we didn't cheat. No, it doesn't. This proves Bo Schembechler in heaven. This proves that Jim Harbaugh is the almighty. No, it doesn't.
God bless.
This proves that this proves that we're legitimately a good football team. Nobody questioned that.
We really did.
This proves that we're better than Ohio State. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I thought it was hilarious. I'm sitting in, Kansas City back at the girlfriend's family's house, and I'm like, hey, like they're all talking about. They're like, oh, well, now that they beat Alabama, like, this is kind of a new time for them, right? Like, hey, like, does this mean that, now they're legit? And I'm like, yeah, they're a good football team, but it doesn't change the fact that you decided to roll out a whole scheme just to beat Rutgers. Because that's the thing that I keep getting tripped up on. Like, I understand if you wanted to do this in the SEC, if you were like Vanderbilt and you were
Totally
like, okay, dude, we're playing Alabama. We don't really get the same caliber of guy that Saban does. let's get their signs and do a whole thing.
Listen,
It'll be worth it,
we're
dude.
Indiana University
Right?
football.
Like-
We've got to do something.
Right?
Right?
But that's not the case. You're Michigan in a Big Ten that now this coming year is going to be a lot better. But in the old Big Ten, it was a cakewalk except for Ohio State. And frankly, I'm kind of coming around to the idea that Ryan Day's been disappointing. Like,
Who's Ryan Day?
dude, good Lord.
Oh, you mean Lloyd Carr incarnate?
Stay hard.
Ryan Day. He has been disappointing. And again, I have no problem saying Michigan is one of the 2 best football teams in the country.
Yes, they've earned that label. They've earned that.
And Jim Harbaugh is, in my opinion, a horribly unethical football coach who I don't believe is a good enough football coach to beat the best teams in the country. I think he had to cheat to do it. That's my opinion. And I think that they are not mutually exclusive. And I think that Jim Harbaugh is getting all the hate and vitriol that he deserves.
I mean, I think we can say, so at least I have the ability, and I think you have the ability to separate this. Like, okay,
Yes.
the Alabama-Michigan game is separate from the cheating stuff and the regular season drama and all of that. And the idea that, hey, during the regular season, it's pretty much rock solid evidence, like undisputed, you did this. It's not an opinion. There's a load of evidence. Like, let's just accept the fact that that happened when it happened.
But, bro, it's all the people who are like, oh, my God, Connor Stallions was in the Rose Bowl. FBI investigation incoming. Who cares? He bought a ticket. He was watching.
Steeler guy.
Yeah, he
What-
bought a
who-
ticket to a lot of games.
Yeah,
You know?
asshole. Like, what's the like? I'm trying to figure out why so many people were focused on Connor Stallions being at the game instead of the fact that Nick Saban got his ass kicked by by Michigan. I'm trying to figure that out. Who cares about Connor Stallions?
You don't
Dude,
always have to be negative.
I had an earpiece in, Monty. I was looking at it through his binoculars, and I saw you had an earpiece in, bro. No, who cares? Who cares? Connor, like, go sell vacuums, dude. Like, do you really think the sign stealing scandal is why Balake Corum was able to make that jump cut and cripple Alabama's defensive line?
Vacuums are my thing.
No, man. But does that absolve the LLC cheating, sign stealing, traveling band of no, it doesn't.
Because shit's going good.
Right? It doesn't. But that doesn't mean that Corum is a bad running back. Michigan, I think Michigan fan. And there's been a lot of delusional fan bases this year, Frank. A Florida State fan, I never thought I'd say this. Florida State fan gave Michigan fan a run for their stupidity money.
Hey,
Right?
Rick Scott, where you at?
And we're going to talk about Florida State in a minute, but Michigan fan, I want some of what you got from where you got it, because you are wildly crazy.
A hell of a drug.
Yeah, you're crazy. If you think that, how many Michigan fans are like, oh, we got to keep Jim Harbaugh? Why? What did he do before they started stealing signs?
And he will every single time.
Oh, that's right. You lost to Lloyd Carr down in Columbus. That's right. That's what good call. Yeah, keep Jim Harbaugh. Good
That's
job.
who you're losing to.
Right? And meanwhile, and if Jim Harbaugh is such a good coach, such a good football administrator, why did you set up a sign stealing scandal and a sign stealing operation to steal signs that were already being given to you?
You know,
You paid people to go to other stadiums to record sidelines that are already being recorded and delivered to you. But yet why are you fighting for Jim Harbaugh? Are you Michigan fan?
Well, Michigan fans going to say this guy's our hero. That you
Come
know,
on.
this guy has overcome everything, and you know, they're gonna.
They did. Hey, they did. You guys, they had to play. Did you see the schedule? That schedule was
Just a stalwartness.
Jeez, I don't know how any team.
Got to be America's team.
Wow. I mean, you played one game. That was Ohio State.
Yay!
The Fighting Paternos, no. Stop. Nobody's buying. Well, Maryland was really good for like one quarter of football this year. You played nobody. Well, Michigan State's always a good. No, it's not. No, it will be this coming year because good old Johnny Smith. But come on. Come on. Okay. We've probably rambled too much, right?
Excellent start to the new year.
Joey, it feels good to come back in bloodlet on Jim Harbaugh. Like that is, it feels as though like I'm cleaning my soul and I just took a shower and I feel better now.
Excellent.
I don't hate Jim Harbaugh.
I do.
Yeah, me too. Who are we kidding? There are a few guys like I'm not one of the guys that hates Bill Belichick. So many people hate Bill Belichick. I don't hate Bill Belichick. I don't hate Tom Brady.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
I don't hate, well, every Boston sports team, but Zdeno Chara is different. Patrice is that's a whole different thing. Anyway, my point is, I don't hate the Celtics. I don't hate the Patriots. I don't hate the football team that continually kicks your ass. Like I hate the Packers. We're going to talk about, speaking of sign stealer guy, we're going to talk about degenerate Jimmy Kimmel hater in a minute.
Where is Aaron right now?
I genuinely dislike Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys thought of me, not just for my good looks, but on an intellectual level.
Not interstellar level, though.
No, different.
Okay.
Do you understand that Jim Harbaugh, as I've been telling you through this whole thing, doesn't answer questions? He's out doing a one-on-one interview, not answering questions. Hey, Jim, how are you able to take on that Alabama defensive line? Well, you know what, Sharon, we really have a good football team. And I just want to say, it's amazing do you see the weather out here in Pasadena? All right, let's throw it to my players. They're the ones you want to talk to. Like, what kind of an a-hole is this guy? And yet, Michigan fan, you go and fight for him.
Yep.
You go and
repeatedly.
I think the only way that you get clarity and closure on this is by popping a buckshot from BuckedUp.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you can do it. Now, they're so good, I will tell you, this is the last buckshot in the building today. Right here. Do you want it?
What are you talking about, man?
Do you want it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No. Buckshot from BuckedUp. I'm telling you, the best product I use on a regular basis. Now, with all the resolutioners in your gym, if you're not one of them, Mrs. Monty and I back in the gym. And we have been since before the holiday. The one supplement that I'm begging you to use is creatine. If I'm 50 years old, about to turn 51, I think creatine is a vital supplement. You must have it for mental clarity. You must have it for brain health. You must have it for muscle health. I am telling you, if you are not paying attention to your brain, you're missing out. That's where Buckshot comes in from BuckedUp. It is naturally sourced caffeine through green tea leaf extract, and it's got a bunch of brain food in it that helps you have mental clarity to get through your day. So join me and not Jake. Cheers to you, friends. Well, that's a great job filling the void there, Jake.
Yeah.
But
yep.
This, I'm telling you, Buckshot just does the job it's supposed to do. But Mrs. Monty converted me over the Christmas holiday.
Oh, boy.
I have been that guy who's like, I don't need pre-workout. I'm a big, tough dude.
What do you bench?
And last week, when we came back from Mesquite, Nevada, after golfing Wolf Creek, and really we didn't golf it, we dominated it. I started in hard on the pre-workout because I was tired getting out of bed at 6 a.m. Dude, it makes all the difference in the world. I'm burning on average with pre-workout 200 more calories per gym session now. Like, it's remarkable. Get it all at BuckedUp.com, where they use elite ingredients to make elite products. BuckedUp.com. Use the promo code Monty to get 20% off at checkout. All right, who gets the
chaos
first
begin.
comment of the day? Well, it's $20 from Joseph Carruthers.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's a hell of a way to start off 2024.
go.
Appreciate you, Joseph. Here's to a PNW. That'd be Pacific Northwestern.
Thank you.
It's not Northwestern. It's just Pacific Northwest. Team making the championship. Also, no SEC teams in the championship.
Man, you guys hate the SEC that much.
There's a lot of people saying that. And they were saying that. There's a lot of people saying that. I don't understand why people don't want the best teams in the championship. And I don't think there's any doubt that 60-point beatdown that the boys in Athens put on Florida State, vindicating all of college football fandom by whooping Florida State ass.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You can admit to us how much you enjoyed that.
Oh, but Monty, they had all the sit-outs. They had all the sit-outs, man.
You mean opt-outs? Close. Well, I had 23 guys opting out. Great. That's what we call an excuse. Did you lose by 60? Well, but
you quit on the game.
Do you understand that no team has ever lost by more than Florida State lost to Georgia? It's the single largest bowl game loss ever.
Not since like 1920.
Ever,
bro.
Ever. And if you're going to make the argument Georgia's not one of the 4 best teams, that's the snub, not Florida State. Georgia's the snub, not Florida State. And I understand you might be burned out on the SEC, but you can't make the argument the SEC is not the best football conference in the country, because they are.
Clearly.
By a lot.
Clearly.
By a lot. Aaron Wilson, Happy New Year to you. He gives a Monty Show membership.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, Aaron. Appreciate you. Hero 75. I'm just wondering, how soon after the championship does the NCAA drop the hammer on Michigan? Could the NCAA being petty and drop it the next day? It doesn't work like that. The NCAA has a very well-established process. They will deliver notice of allegations. They will deliver findings. They will deliver punishment. That's the way that it works. You will not, and let's pretend Jimmy doesn't go to the NFL and he stays at Michigan. He's not going to be eligible to coach a game next year. By the time, because again, the note that they got a notice of allegations against Jim Harbaugh.
Right.
What did Jim Harbaugh promptly do? Did he issue a statement saying, my heart hurts for my constituents, my friends, my coworkers, everybody in the Michigan community, because I have brought disrepute through this situation? Did he say that? No. Did he make a statement? No. What did he do? He went and hired a guy named Don Yee to represent him. Do you know who Don Yee is? Don Yee is arguably the most successful representation for NFL head coaches ever. So you're so committed to Michigan. And you guys, it's right here in his heart, Michigan, right? It's right.
That's bullshit.
Bet. Right? You just bet right here. He had it tattooed. He had open heart surgery during the suspension. They ripped that thing open. They cut the metal plate that covers Jim Harbaugh's heart. He's Superman, bitches, right? And he had bet tattooed right on his left atrium.
The ink isn't dry yet.
It was an amazing. My point is, this guy doesn't give 2 rips about Michigan. Jim Harbaugh cares about Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh's going to go to the NFL.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you got?
I hope I never have to buy another car. Anyway, my point is, Jim Harbaugh is going to the NFL. He hired the best NFL agent for coaches. And yet, Michigan fans just go, bet. You guys are, you're so blind. It'll be the summer before they drop the hammer on Michigan. Big Blue Horses. Would NFL mirror NCAA punishment on dad pants? They would not.
No, NFL doesn't care.
They would not. I believe he will get an NFL job. I believe that if you look at John Harbaugh's success, and again, speaking of supplements, if somebody could get to Jack Harbaugh, I don't know how you do it without committing a felony. And I'm not certainly suggesting that you try.
Stay hard.
But if you could bottle some of what he's got down and, swimming around,
His cock.
all they do is make NFL coaches, man. That's all they do. Because John Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh have had a pretty good year. Right? That's all they do. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But he's going to the NFL.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that. All right. Let's TH for $20.
This should be good.
All flowers to UM for the win. All flowers.
Okay.
Okay. Like on their caskets, right? Because it's a funeral. My only question is, did their success while cheating over the past 2 years allow for the depth of the team they have this year by players not leaving? Would they have stayed without that success?
Super hypothetical, bro.
We talked about this.
Thought. Yeah.
We talked about this. My belief is, yes, it did. It allowed them to recruit. It allowed them to develop because guys stayed in the program longer. There's no question about that. There is no doubt. If they do not beat Ohio State 2 years in a row, how many guys are in the draft instead of in a Michigan uniform this year?
Certainly.
How many more guys would have been in the portal? Because there's a lot of dudes ring chasing in the portal. I think we all know that.
Yes.
How many more guys would have been in the portal? And would we be sitting here referring to Ryan Day as Lloyd Carr if he had not lost the last 3 times in a row to Michigan? Did they lose because of the sign stealing thing? My personal opinion is they did. Jim Harbaugh couldn't beat us without stealing our signs. All of a sudden, he's winning every big game he plays in?
Program.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
With all due respect to the Frogs in Fort Worth, you're telling me TCU's better than Alabama? What happened at TCU last year? Come on. I'm a realist, and my realism says Jim Harbaugh doesn't win those games without those signs. Just my opinion.
Pretty logical. That's pretty straightforward. I mean,
I think that's an impossible question to factually answer. My opinion is Jim Harbaugh, and I think it's a great point, and it's why we brought it up months ago when this first started. He doesn't recruit at this level, and he does not retain at this level, and he does not develop his talent without winning the games that they've won.
Absolutely.
You don't. And if there is one thing I think we all agree on, about Jim Harbaugh, he's a fantastic salesman. Used cars or not, he's a fantastic salesman. And I also will say, having covered him one-on-one in San Francisco, he's a phenomenal developer of quarterback talent. He is.
Yeah.
There's no way to spin that.